So you're adding on this week, and you're looking at formative assessments, and you're looking at summative assessments. And so when you're doing formative assessments and summative assessments, you want to think of it just as how it sounds: formative, form, ongoing. Okay, so watching as you're going, kind of checking for understanding, doing assessments that kind of see where the students are at and where you may need to go to get them to your overall goal. Okay, so formative, think form, moving, watching somebody's form. Summative is just that, the peak. Okay, the peak of the mountain, the top, the summit, the goal where you're trying to go. And with your backward design, you already have that in place when you begin. So therefore, when you're looking at your formative assessments, you're moving towards the summative. Okay, and a couple just little short things about it. Summative assessments could be state assessments, district benchmark or interim assessments, end of unit or chapter tests, end of term or semester exams. It can also be final projects, final arts-based projects, final science-based projects, whatever you're trying to get them to do. Remember that the same with homework. Formative is ongoing. Summative is final chance. So if you're adding homework in as a formative assessment, that means it's an ongoing assessment that you're checking for understanding that they're moving on. If you're giving it to them as this is your last chance, then it's summative. Okay, so you're going to start putting those in place for your week 7 assignment. So I've asked you to, one, describe a minimum of one formative assignment for each of your 5 lessons, at least one. It should also include any handouts, rubrics, or examples you feel are necessary to paint a clear picture of the assessment measure. Okay, so you're going to look at that. You're going to go to the rubric that I've given you. Everything's nice and clean. Okay. In part 2, it says create a summative assessment for your unit. Okay. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to look at that and you're going to see, is this an exam? Is this project based? And I put note, this is not a description of the summative assessment. You should submit the actual assessment, actual student instructions, actual rubric. So make sure you do that. And then part 3, you're going to write a 1-page reflection on the roles of formative and summative assessment, the importance of frequent and varied forms of assessment, how backward design encourages meaningful assessment, and one thing you are encouraged to do differently after creating your unit plan for week 6, an assessment plan for week 8. Okay, and it's funny, a lot of times people think that formative and summative assessment have to be, formal. And actually, even like with the littles, self-play, conversations you overhear, those types of things can tell you a lot about if a student is, gathering meaning from what you're teaching. One of the things that I love about the high school students, that they crack me up, I can do formative assessment when they send me memes. And it's so funny, but we'll be learning about something and they'll send me a meme, like a comic meme, that proves that they get the point. So last year I was teaching them about public speaking, and I was telling them not to say, to switch it out and say and. If you had to pause, say and, because it falls into the language where stands out. And so one of the students sent me a meme, and he tagged all of the classes on Instagram, and it was like a person in a matrix backbend position with laser beam lights going everywhere. And then the title of the meme, the comic joke of it said, me trying to get through a public speech without using and there was even a teacher at the school that saw it and was like, oh no, this is me, they all know it's me, and then the kids started laughing and joking around. But I was able to see in that self-play comic moment that student was learning that was not appropriate in public speaking in a speech, and that they could also that they were also able to find that meme and send it to me and tag everybody in it. That was a beautiful, fun, self-play, formative way for me to see that they were on task. And so with the high school kids, they'll do stuff like that all the time. They just sent me with the hearings that just happened, the Supreme Court hearings. One of them just sent me the SNL sketch on the hearings because there was a reference to the Crucible, and we're reading the Crucible right now. So, formative assessments, they can be a series of things that you're checking for understanding, but also don't forget to watch for self-play, joking, conversations that you hear them have with other people, and conversations that you hear them have, with you. Sometimes kids will hang after and say things, and it'll give you an idea. And it's always nice to share those things, with the other students. It's another way of building a safe and civil classroom. When you say, hey, I was talking to Fred, and he said, and they'll perk up, and you guys know this, but it's always a wonderful way to do it. So you're looking at formative and summative assessment. You've got a lot of things to read and watch this week. You're doing the article, The Best Value in Formative Assessment. You're doing the article, Education and the Role of the Educator in the Future. You're watching 3 videos and a slideshow, and you've got your Chapter 9 reading. Don't forget your discussion board. And as far as, your work with the unit assessment plan, it should be pretty simple for you now because you're just adding in, you're adding on.